PFA Scotland will be celebrating Mental Health Awareness Week. Can you tell us a wee bit about how you've supported your mental health throughout your career?
I think it took probably a long time to realise that I had to do that, and it took for probably a bit of a dip in my mental health to understand the importance of it, and start to understand my mental health in general a bit more. And from then on, it was something that I've tried to kind of factor into my kind of daily, weekly routines, self-care type things that I look after myself, and mostly away from football as well, as opposed to things that I do over and above, so or as well as football. So I think simple things, giving myself a bit of time away and change the scenery, things that challenge my head and my brain a little bit differently to the day in, day out of football are always good and always give me the bit of space I need.
And football obviously brings people together all over the world, but players can also have really isolating experiences. Can you tell us a bit about how you've overcome these challenges throughout your own career?
Well, probably when I was at Aberdeen, I suffered a couple of longer term injuries at Hamilton, but I was probably a bit younger and a little bit more naive at that point, where when you pick up an injury you kind of just go into autopilot and you get surgery if you need the surgery, and you begin your rehab, and it's just you're on that kind of path to trying to get back fit. But probably at Aberdeen, maybe the kind of nature in which I suffered the injury, the time it took and the setbacks that came along with it, I ended up missing quite a long time, and ultimately led to me kind of being released from Aberdeen as well. And during that period I probably started to understand that I didn't feel myself. I became really good at getting in every day and putting a bit of a mask on and trying to pretend that everything was okay, and that I wanted to be the person for other people that they expected me to be. But then having gone home after training, I felt a real crash and really struggled. I really struggled on match days watching a team after a certain amount of time, where I would feel the kind of high if the boys won and I was desperate for them to do well. But again, the moment I stepped into my car or started to drive back, I became so aware of how isolated and how far away from that I felt. And every day I was at training, albeit I was trying to be, I didn't want to be a drainer, if you like. I didn't want to be somebody that was negative and kind of feeling sorry for themselves, but I realised that was starting to take its toll on me mentally. Pulled back from friendships, pulled back from family, and just small things like that. But I think it was only a course of time that I started to realise I just don't feel myself for it at all. I feel that the person that I was probably 6-12 months prior to that felt totally different, and I knew that something wasn't right, and it took me a long time to put my finger on what that was. But having a conversation with some of the medical staff and the club doctor up there, guy called Gary Ritchie in particular, helped me massively and started to get me back the right track.
And thankfully there's been a clear progression in breaking the stigma around mental health over recent years. Would you be able to explain some of the education you've had around these areas and where you've been able to implement them in your own mental health?
Yeah, I think I did a bit of counselling myself actually. I spoke to a couple of people to try and get a bit of help with that, and understand what was going on a little bit more. And I think ultimately for me, someone else being able to empathise with that really helped me, and probably what I'd faced previously whenever I was struggling, and I would maybe kind of reach out in a slightly different way to kind of speak about that I was struggling. You're met with people who often have solutions to your problem. You just need to do this, you just need to do that, or you've got to try and be positive, you'll get back. But at that moment in time, it doesn't feel like that. Feels like the hardest thing in the world. It feels like you're trying to climb Mount Everest. And through doing a bit of counselling, I worked with a guy I met through the national team actually, who went on to do a qualification on counselling, Stephen Reid, who was an ex-player and had his own challenges, and that kind of relatability really helped me. Speaking to someone who understood what I was going through, and was able to offer a bit of advice and support at that particular time really helped me, and was able to give me some tips. And one of the things he said was, what else are you doing away from football to try and kind of stimulate the brain, and also give yourself a plan. And probably what I realised was, when football wasn't going the way I wanted it to go, I kind of realised, well, what else is there? If this isn't going to plan, what else do I have? What else do I can identify as? And football was everything. And through starting to pursue my studies, which I've been able to do through the union, through speaking to Chris Higgins, and using the education grants that are there, I was able to start trying different aspects of education, and that really helped me. I was able to use that as a distraction from what was going on day to day with my injuries, as I was kind of fighting to get back fit, but also allowed me to start to see that there was other things other than football, and there was a bit of a plan there as to where I was going.
And you mentioned there, speaking to the club doctor at Aberdeen, speaking to Stephen at the national team. We often talk about the power of talking and sharing. How important is that element of openness within a changing room environment and beyond, and how's that progressed over recent years?
I think in recent years there's certainly more awareness of it. I still think there is a lot of negativity around the kind of term mental health when it comes to football. I think that we need to be far more progressive in the way that we think about it and understand it. But I think we have made progress in that sense. And even when I was at Aberdeen or whether I'm now at Livingston, I think whenever you maybe had your own kind of mental health issues, it becomes a little bit easier at times to recognise it in other people. And I suppose that something I've tried to do is make myself available to my teammates, that at any point if they feel they need to talk to someone, then you're there. You can't force that on someone. They need to be ready and willing to speak about what's going on, but understand the power of speaking, and maybe getting something off your chest, letting someone know that you're struggling is huge. And we're very fortunate in football that you have that kind of camaraderie and that kind of team spirit, that within a changing room you are very close with the boys that you're playing with. You work with them every single day. I mean, sometimes in football you see your teammates more than you see your family. So you do build that really special bond, and the ability to share your problems at times with other people can really, really help. And that would be something that I would try and recommend, is just keep an eye out, on what's happening on a day-to-day basis. Football's such an up and down industry, where a lot of the time, unless you're right at the very top of the game, there's probably more downs than there are ups. And as for life's very similar to that as well. So they're maybe a little bit more exposed to the kind of erraticness, the emotional side of football. But keep an eye out for what's going on around about you, because it's far more common than I think some of us are aware of.
And you have touched on a wee bit there in terms of having that camaraderie, having that togetherness in the changing room. Mental health can be seen as a bit of a spectrum, so we can root it back to just even the most basic of conversations or gestures or whatever it may be. Obviously, for yourself and for the team, it's been quite a challenging season. What sort of things have you implemented as captain to make sure that you are always ticking over, you are always staying as a unit?
I think we're quite fortunate here in that there's a good group of lads, and that we've tried to spend some time together over and above the day-to-day at the club and at training. So we spend some time going for coffees after training, went for a couple of team meals together, and tried to kind of keep that together. It's easy when things aren't going well to kind of probably start turning on one another and start pointing the kind of finger. But that kind of blame culture doesn't necessarily get you anywhere. So I think it also can be really, as we're talking about it can be really problematic for players' mental health as well, and what's already a challenging season both on and off the pitch for the club. We're now facing football in the Championship next year, but to start kind of trying to dig out other people on a day-to-day can be to someone's demise, when it comes to their mental health. So having that awareness, sticking together and trying to encourage one another is massively important to that, but also trying to recognise when other people might be struggling and be there to kind of try and pick them up a little bit.
As the current chair of PFA Scotland, what is your message to wider members and the professional footballers in Scotland in general about Mental Health Awareness Week and maybe how they can check in with a teammate or just check in with themselves in general?
I think ultimately, in order to try and move forward with a bit of a taboo subject when it comes to football, certainly, and maybe in sport, talk about it. Talk about how you're feeling. Check in on your teammates. Be aware of what's going on around about you in your kind of day-to-day football and life, and you're changing them. Everyone's going through ups and downs. Some people are brilliant at hiding it. Some people are really, really good at masking it. And the ability to feel heard is a massive part of mental health and kind of being on the journey to trying to help yourself with that. A lot of people that suffer with mental health issues, don't feel that they're seen, don't feel that they're heard, and don't feel that anyone is going to kind of empathise with them. So having awareness about it, it's there, it's in and around us, it's in society, it's everywhere that we look. And football often can be a massive cause of that. So try and bring an awareness to your day-to-day, look at yourself, make sure that you're checking in with yourself and look at what you're doing to help yourself, more importantly, on and off the pitch, and taking care of your mental health and keep an eye on people around about you.